Here, Julian Eymard was born at Namur, not too far from Grenoble, which is actually not too far from Chartreuse, in 1811. But he didn't enter the Carthusians, he entered the seminary of the area and was ordained fairly early in life and became, for a while, a good priest of the area. But he was looked upon by a specific grace and became a Eymardist. But he always had a special devotion to the Blessed Sacrament, and this came to the fore when he was with the Eymarists, and he felt that he was being called to do something specific in honor of the Blessed Sacrament. He wrote to the Archbishop of Paris to explain what he felt the Lord was calling him to do, and went to see him. But the Archbishop of Paris had already decided against it because he felt that it was yet another house of pure contemplation, whereas he needed active priests in the area. It so happened that the Archbishop of Paris was greeting a personage of some weight, and for that reason saw him personally to the door when he was leaving. And that was a moment of providence, for that would not normally have happened. And who was at the door at that very point but this good young priest? And the Archbishop explained, well, I've considered your case and I've decided that we don't actually need yet another house of prayer and contemplation in the Archdiocese. We need priests who are also useful. And the good young priest explained, well, actually that was my vision too. And he explained the double dynamic of what he had in mind. And so the Archbishop then listened to what he had to say and changed his initial decision. So Providence organized that encounter. As Padre Pio would say, there is no chance, there is no coincidence, there is one who directs the incident. And so it was that he founded the priests initially, devoted to perpetual adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, exposed, and that received the approval of that same Archbishop, Archbishop de Cibourg. And then he went on in 1858 to found a congregation for sisters, servants of the Blessed Sacrament. It was established as such officially in 1864. His congregation of priests was approved by Pope Pius IX during his lifetime, but did not receive final confirmation until 1895. He also founded the Priests' Eucharistic League, though this was not actually canonically erected until 1887. And he organized the Confraternity of the Blessed Sacrament, and, as we know, wrote much about the Blessed Sacrament, very beautiful and touching words. He died at Namur on the 1st of August, and was canonized by Saint John the 23rd in 1962. So his life wasn't that long, born in 1811 and died in 1868, but he did a lot, and I would sometimes honor him in the place where his body is, in the Church of San Claudio, in the Piazza San Silvestro in the middle of Rome. One goes in there and one is struck by the honor given to the Blessed Sacrament. His body is on one side, but the Lord is the center of attention, and in a very triumphant way they've made a throne for the Lord way up, and one gets the impression that this is the center of the universe, and that's precisely what he wanted. Towards the end of his life, he was able to have an opening from his sickbed to the Blessed Sacrament and adore it in that discreet way. His life was Jesus in the host. and he is someone who has a message for us which we can pick up in his writings. It's something also which occurred to me. We have St. Norbert much earlier in time who had a similar intuition, and that's why we always see him presented with the Blessed Sacrament either in a pyx, a ciborium, or a monstrance. He was reacting against the heresy of Tonchelin, who was preaching that hosts consecrated by priests in a state of sin were not validly consecrated, but they were, and he was recuperating them and honouring them. And from him, the Premonstratensians have a great devotion to the maximum of honour and glory given to the Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. We had at Sant'Antmo solemn high mass every day with incense, the Missa Summa. It was at an important time in the morning, given full attention, incense every day, fully sung in Latin, and on the high altar, still facing east. All in Gregorian chant. It worked. The church was of course built for that, way back in the Middle Ages. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But I was moved by the teaching given by actually the church itself regarding the importance of this in the context of the Premonstratensians. I wrote this after hearing what Pope Pius XI had to say. He was writing in 1932, "Your order is gloriously Eucharistic and Eucharistically glorious. Gloriose Eucharisticum et Eucharistice gloriosum." And so when on retreat to be clothed, I wrote these lines, realizing that that was to be my vocation, just to shield the Lord with love. We had adoration for a lot of the time at Holy Trinity Abbey Kindercraft. It was very much a Eucharistic house, and many people would get consolation from night adoration there. And we would also, of course, be called upon to keep guard, as it was put. Keep guard. The Lord has no one there. "'Tis good to be forever thine, to gaze upon thy throne, and in thy home to have my little dwelling, even mine, hard by thy tent, where thou dost whisper, come, come often, come in closer, come and stay a lengthy moment here, where men come not for converse with their God upon their way to regions where much action is for God. O sun, whence rays of love now warm this road that henceforth lies ahead, I would thee feel, thee fondle, handle, and this small abode, ere with my loving shelter, and oft kneel where angels are, where matters of great weight can for an unknown matter stand and wait. The honour given to the Blessed Sacrament will come back to us on Judgment Day, and a priest who treats badly the Lord will have a rude awakening. but it applies to all Christians. The way that the Lord is handled nowadays is, alas, not often worthy of him. It's as though we have made of our celebrations something for us, a locus for the human encounter. The dynamic wished by the Lord is very different, and it was seen as such by all these great saints. They gave all to honour heaven in that central place of encounter. Nothing was spared by these saints. It's something one finds in all the holy priests of the Church. The Blessed Sacrament is always the central point. And many have had experiences of a mystical order. One thinks of the time spent by St. Philip Neri and such saints, the way that they would go into ecstatic mode. Even the Curé Vaz, he would levitate apparently. The altar boy saw it. He wasn't touching the ground sometimes at the altar, and his eyes were looking upwards and into something different. With regard to looking at our watch and coming to the altar, it's miles apart from what these saints were doing. It's something we need to look at. If we are so hurried that we haven't got time to do well this most sacred act of all, then there's something hugely out of order. What is happening at the Holy Sacrifice is hidden from our eyes. Padre Pio, of course, would have very long, profound celebrations, knew the number of souls that were coming, tugging at his chasuble. He would also take a couple of hours. Calvary hurt the Lord. We haven't got time to stay with him. We have more important things to do. On this day, the 2nd of August, we can gain a plenary indulgence, pulling upon all the merit of Calvary, for the Lord is making it available to us through the Church, who has the keys over the treasury of merit and grace. And so by going into a parish church, we can, by saying one Our Father, one Creed, and also praying separately for the Holy Father's intentions, go into confession and receiving Holy Communion, we can gain a plenary indulgence, that of the Portiuncula, initially that of that church, then extended to Franciscan churches and now to parish churches as well. It's something that we need to take seriously, not being attached even to venial sin. The conditions are the usual ones, but the visit has to happen on the day itself, if possible, between midday on the 1st and midnight on the 2nd of August. Confession can happen before or after, within 8 days, but it's good to go to communion on the day itself. The Church is a good mother, and we need to take seriously all that is on offer. Grace in return for grace. If we brush it off, if we are hardened to it, then the fruits will be meagre. If, like the saints, we are maximally open, then the maximum of grace will come again. Charis anti charitas. Grace in return for grace.
O sacrament most holy, O sacrament divine, praise the Lord, thanksgiving be every moment thine. O sacrament most holy, O sacrament divine, O praise the Lord, thanksgiving be every moment thine. O sacrament most holy, O sacrament divine, O praise the Lord.